Well, let's take you back to our top stories. In the last week, hundreds of thousands of grant recipients being left in the lurch after Postbank failed to deliver their payments. Now, today we had the Ministers of Social Development and Communication both apologizing for the bungling up. In the last 24 hours, we've had the chairperson of the Postbank board and the non-executive directors also walk away from their posts. They've cited interference and hostility from the minister. Joining us tonight for more on the story is Sassa spokesperson Paseka Letsatsi. Paseka, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. What we're seeing here is that despite the back and forth between the authorities, and I'm talking here about the ministers and the board at Postbank, as you and I talk tonight, you still have grant recipients that have not received their payments and still don't have any indication of when that will be. Paseka, I think you've muted yourself. If you can just maybe check your button there. We're struggling to hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that, Kathy. Thanks for having me. I think it's very important to clarify the two problems. I would not want to dwell much on the issues of the board and the operations of Postbank. I would want to talk about the processes as they unfolded today. One, we can tell you that about the reversals which were done by Postbank, the indication and the confirmation we have is that 98% of them have been sorted out. So as we speak now, out of the 500,000 would have the 2% which is left to be resolved. We have indicated to them that we would want the 100% success rate because the matter has been dragging since last week, and that's the confirmation which was basically given to us.
Paseka, let's understand what has been resolved means. Last week, when Postnet said the matter had been resolved, it meant that they had effectively were able to identify the clients that had problems of payments and that they had reversed the transactions on their side, but that didn't necessarily translate in clients being able to access that money. So when we say that 98% of the problem has been resolved, does it mean that 98% of grant recipients have now been able to access their funds?
No, exactly the point, Kathy. What basically happened, we have about 5 million beneficiaries who are actually housed at, who are usually using the Postbank to get their money. And out of the 5,500,000 experienced the problems of the reversals. But instead of the reversals being done automatically, when people get an error message, in this instance, they had to do them manually. We requested the report because obviously the South African Social Security Agency has transferred the payment file to Postbank. And the indication as I'm talking to you, Kathy, I may not be privy to the information which they gave you last week. The information which we got this afternoon before both ministers went to speak to the nation was that the success rate was sitting at 98%. And we indicated to them that unfortunately, because these are beneficiaries of Sassa, and whatever happens to them would definitely affect the organization. And after getting the confirmation from the Postbank, we then said comfortably to say that they need to make sure that we get the 100% success rate because we don't even want an individual complaining that they
So again, Paseka, if you can just answer my question more specifically. Have 98% of grant recipients received and been able to access their funds tonight?
Look, Kathy, I think the question, your question, is supposed to be the reversals. It means if the person went there to withdraw their money and they did not get them. I'm saying 98% now. If a person experienced a problem, if they go back and they experience a problem, about 98% of them will not experience the problem which they experienced last week.
What does that mean for the 2%? What is the hold-up with the 2%?
That's exactly the point what we are addressing with them today, because from where we see it. We don't even want a single person telling us that they did not get what is due to them. We have indicated this afternoon, Kathy, that because we understand that the system was being changed to another system, yes, they would experience problems, but we said it is not in the interest of the South African
Yes, Paseka, but what have you understood? What have you understood the problem to be? So the issue here is the fact that we have the Post Bank that, number one, has not been taking accountability for having created this crisis, not giving clarity and communicating clearly as well with grant recipients. All that has been there since last week when this problem started is that there have been commitments for it to be solved. Now we're sitting with grant recipients that haven't had their grants for over a week now, some of them, at the very least. So my question to you is, this 2% that has not received their payments, what is the problem? What has the Post Bank told you is still the problem?
Kathy, I'm sure your colleagues were at the press conference this afternoon, where the Minister of Communication, Mondli Gugubele, explained and apologized to the nation. And I think they might have shared this information with you. I'm sure you are privy to this information. And what
Paseka, you are currently in this interview representing Sassa. Now, Post Bank is effectively your client. Post Bank is the one that has bungled up the payments that you have to get to your recipients, to your clients as Sassa. And I'm asking you, as a client that has been done wrong by a service provider, what are the reasons that the Post Bank has given you for why this 2% have not been paid?
Can I explain that, Kathy? And may I, from the bottom of my heart, for the benefit of the viewers at home, plead with you to give me an opportunity to explain and don't interject. Just for a minute. One, there was an explanation that there was a change of the system from Post Bank to a new system. And as they were changing the system to make sure that there is a better payment, better system to the beneficiaries, there was this particular system glitch. Hence, the minister came and explained and apologized to those beneficiaries who could not get access. The second question which you asked, Kathy, because we've got a service level agreement with the Post Bank. Our expectation from Post Bank is that there must be 100% success rate. And what we indicated to them was that if there is any failure, because we can't be expecting system glitches, we said we'll be left with no option but to evoke the penalty clause in the service level agreement. And I think there was an understanding between the South African Social Security Agency and the Post Bank from that particular end.
Paseka, we know about the system glitch. We know about the fact that Post Bank had to go and reverse these transactions manually. Those were all things that they said they were doing last week. It's been a week since they started with that process. As we speak tonight, the 2% of recipients that have not been paid, why have they not been paid? What is the reason for that?
I think I tried to put the matter into perspective, Kathy, that the process, they had to make sure that the process was done, and it was done manual, and it was labor intensive. But from our point of view,
so effectively, you haven't asked the specifics. You're satisfied with the fact that it's part of the technical glitch, and whenever it's fixed, then it will be fixed. But until then, you can't give us specifics for why this 2%, at least as we're led to believe. We don't know that it's exactly 2%, but the 2% that we're led to believe still don't have their payments. We still can't give the exact reason beyond just saying that it was part of the technical glitch.
I think, Kathy, what is important, and I asked you from the bottom of my heart to give me a chance to explain and not interject.
Which I did.
I'm saying to you, slowly, Kathy, one, we asked reasons and we were given reasons, and we indicated that if failure to make sure that there's 100% success rate will leave the South African Social Security Agency with no option
All right.
but to do two things: to evoke the penalty clause in the service level agreement.
Paseka, Letsatsi, we'll have to leave it there. I don't think we're getting anywhere in terms of understanding why it is that you still have 2% of grant recipients still without pay weeks after the fact. We'll leave it there for tonight. Paseka Letsatsi is the spokesperson of Sassa.